Hi, I'm Michael Lessard of the Contortionist, and you're watching Metal Wani.
Alright, greetings from Metal Wani. Thank you very much to be with us.
Thanks for having me.
So you guys been constantly touring North America and Europe with Tesseract. So how has it been?
Amazing, to say the least. Tesseract are not only a great group of guys, but a great group of people as well. And just being able to watch them every night has been inspiring, not only on a musical level, but on a performance level. And just seeing how well they bring the energy and everything live every night. So it's been a learning experience.
Mm-hmm. So since you guys support Tesseract on this two leg as well, so how the UK prog snob love the vibe?
So far so good. It seems to be a pretty positive reaction. So hopefully we can just keep that rolling and people can continue to enjoy us performing live.
Coming to your latest album, Language, it's been released in 2014 now. I think that was one of the definitive important albums for the band, keeping in mind the change of vocalist. So what music experience did Michael bring to the band?
I think, I don't know if it was necessarily just me that brought the change that ended up happening and stuff like that. So I think those guys would have put out an album that was very much different from the previous, just anyways, with or without me. But I think me coming in and wanting to do more melodic singing changed the way that they wrote some of the riffs, and we tried to still incorporate as much groove that had been on the previous two albums, but try to make it more melodic. And I think that's probably the biggest influence I might have had on the album.
Language has a varieties of dimension to itself, memorial rhythmic, some well-thought melodies, balance, heaviness, and brilliant production mixed. So could you tell us if you guys, how do you guys work the keys, musical elements, keeping the prog metal in mind?
Well, we never really have the idea in mind that it has to be progressive or it has to be a certain something. I think that just comes naturally with us wanting to be to push ourselves as players to do something different and weird. But we usually start with a pretty basic concept and then slowly work it and make it more complex. So it's never with that fully in mind, but we just kind of write and see what happens, and see what pours onto the tape, if you will.
Mm-hmm. So I'm sure you guys are writing on the road as well. So are we gonna see a new album next year?
Potentially, yeah. We're gonna start writing after we do a headliner directly after this in the States, and then we'll take as much time off as we need to write and record. There's no set deadlines. Our record label and management and everybody involved have already told us they want us to take our time and write the album that we want, because the previous releases they've been very much on a timeline. So we've had to crunch in songwriting and getting in the studio. We've had to be as fast as possible, and with this album we're going to take as much time as we need and make sure it is exactly how we want it to be.
Mm-hmm. What musical direction are you guys exploring on the coming album?
That's a good question. We're exploring new things always. What things will make it onto the album, I'm unsure. I'm completely unsure of until the album is actually finished, because up until they tell us we can't record anymore and it's the last day, and whoever the producer is says nope, that's a wrap, you guys got to drive home. Mm-hmm. You never know what the album's going to sound like, because we're always, I could write a new vocal melody before we even get a chance to leave, and then that's a new thing that we didn't even know was going to be in there. So there's all I do know is there will be new elements. What those elements are, I'm not sure.
Okay. Even since its inception, the band has been exploring a variety of components which include a good deal of surprising elements. So can the fan expect that as well?
Yeah. If there's one thing you can expect from us, is usually the unexpected. So I'm sure that will apply with the next album as well.
That's good. Are there any experiences or ideology which inspire you guys in terms of songwriting? Maybe like literature, art, or movies can inspire the writing?
Oh,
Music?
absolutely, yeah. I find most of my inspiration comes from different art forms, whether it be painting or movies or things like that, and just seeing how people react. Because actually, language was somewhat based off the idea of when there's a piece of art or something created, everybody views it differently. Obviously, a subjective thing. But I find it interesting the stories that people think that certain things are about based off the experiences they've had in life and why their subjective reason for why they think something is the way it is, all those things that make that happen. So that's somewhat what language is about. And yeah, so I find it fascinating with any art form when people view art and take away their own understanding of what the piece of art is. But yeah, I love movies, Stanley Kubrick, and the way they tell stories. And it's just, it's the same thing. You're trying to get somebody to experience something, whether it be audio, visual, any of that stuff. And if you can make somebody feel something or experience something and forget everything around them for a brief moment of time, I find that fascinating. So with all art, I try to find what it is in that draws people in and what the main focus is with some pieces of art. So yeah, heavily influenced by other stuff. And I love philosophy. I like simple ideas that can translate and be applied to everything. I like that. It helps me organize my life a lot easier, and it makes just living easier for me to just keep basic philosophies in mind when approaching something new or something I do a million times. Yeah, it's always nice to have.
Okay. What are your take on so many progressive bands in genre today? Recently we interviewed Jordan from Dream Theater, and he expressed the lack of emotion in music created by the new prog metal bands. So would you agree with that?
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. It's kind of a blanket statement. I feel like it's a generalization. Sure, there are bands that might be lacking emotion in some ways, but there's plenty that have it in loads. So it's that's it can go either way. It depends on what band you're talking about. I still think progressive music's fairly young, so there's a lot of room for growth in general. So do I think bands will slowly become, will there be bands that can harness the technical aspect and the emotional aspect and try to fuse them together in a way that hasn't been done? I believe that there will be some bands that come out in the very near future that can do that. And I feel like all those bands are at least trying to do that in some way. So to say that they aren't, it might just mean that he doesn't have a full understanding of the bands that he feels aren't emotional.
What about the touring plan, guys? Do you have anything planned for the rest of the year?
We've finished this tour with Tesseract in Europe, and then we get to go home for 6 days, and then we do a tour in the US and a little bit of Canada with Monuments, Entheos, and a band called Sleep Makes Waves. So we'll do that for about 5 weeks, and then we have nothing lined up.
That would be the end of the tour for Long Way, yeah?
Yeah, it'll be a nice little welcomed break.
Yeah. Do you have any plans on coming to India, perhaps? You have quite a pretty solid fan base over there, and maybe you should ask Tesseract. They know how the crazy Indian fan are.
Yeah, I hope we get to come over very soon. We just toured with Sky Harbor, who's from India, and they desperately want to bring us over, and we desperately want to go over. So all signs point to us coming to India. So I hope we can make that happen, and we've never had a chance to go, so it'd be great to experience the culture. And just get to have that experience, even if it's once. Hopefully it's more than once. Hopefully we come to India a bunch. So yeah, we do intend to come to India.